Sir, September 11th, 2001, it's a day that many Americans remember, but a lot of us Americans remember exactly where we were on that date. Where were you? Where were you assigned to, and your immediate impressions of that day?
You know, Jack, that's a date that's seared in all our memories. I was a captain. I was assigned to, at the time, juvenile division, I believe, and I was in our bedroom, and I get preparing to go to work, and my wife said, "You have to see this." And I saw the first plane, a replay of the first plane impacting the tower, and then of course immediately following the second plane. And I was like all of us, in disbelief. You know, since then I've gone back and visited the memorial, and it's an amazing memorial, and I think that the small efforts that we make all around the country to remember that day and remember those heroes are so important. You know, it is in our calling that all of us have committed to our willingness to sacrifice our lives for others, but those that have to demonstrate it should be remembered.
And you yourself, as a chief of a major police department, this must go through your mind quite a bit. What if this happens under my watch?
Well, Jack, of course, you know, I constantly am concerned about whether we're going to have an incident like that or a natural disaster that mimics the result.
Sure.
You know, California is bound to get one or the other, and so the ability to lead this police department through that, so that we all make it through that, and so we make the history of this department proud, is very important to me. And I know the Los Angeles Police Department, and I know the men and women of this department, and I know that when that happens here, we will be ready.
Well, let me ask you this. You know, September, counterterrorism
Awareness Month.
Yeah, very, very good. And here we are. Are we complacent as Americans for this issue?
Well, I don't think complacent is the right word. I think that many times we are not appreciative of how much effort you need to put out to keep this country safe. You know, and sometimes I think that folks become used to the status quo, become used to the norm, become used to their ability to commute easily and be free from crime. But we have to remember that none of that stuff comes easy. None of that stuff comes without a price. You know, you cannot create freedom without inhibiting some freedoms. And so it's important to remember that. You know, it's important to remember that without diligent law enforcement, without prepared firefighters, you know, our society could be lost.
So here we are. Our government spends millions of dollars on funds for homeland security, and there are those that criticize those spendings in regards to some of the recent developments that we've seen, where they think maybe we're not spending our money in the right places. For example, the Boston bombings.
Well, you know, you're always trying to make decisions, and you're always robbing from Peter to pay Paul in these circumstances. You know, there's not enough money to do everything, so you have to make sure you do the right things. You know, we try to do that in LA. I got great confidence in our mayor. I got great confidence in this police department. You know, I think that we're putting our money where it makes the most sense. Now, will history prove us wrong? I don't think so, but that's always possible.
So we're talking about the complacency. What about the cops on the street? I mean, what can they do?
Well, you know, I think the first thing you need to do is be aware. You got to be aware, just like when you're working a patrol car, you got to have your head on a swivel, you got to pay attention to what's going on around you, and you have to be able to make and draw conclusions based on facts that you see and that you collect. And I think that's very important. You know, all the major interdictions on the West Coast of terrorist acts have been made by patrol cops. By paying attention to what you do, by remembering that there's always going to be a possibility of a nexus to terrorism. You know, just because something is what it appears to, maybe what it appears to be, is not always accurate.
So when we're talking about milestones, we're talking about someone that I consider to be my first training officer. Martin Milner passed away.
You know, Marty was a great actor, a fine human being. I've got to meet him a few times, but also a tremendous representative of the Los Angeles Police Department. I mean, you and I have talked about this. You know, he embodied what the ideals of policing to us when we were young, impressionable men. And so many of us were drawn to policing by Kent McCord and Marty Milner, and the way they portrayed Los Angeles police officers, these tough yet compassionate men who would go out of their way, would risk their lives to save fellow human beings. I mean, nothing is more noble than the way they portray policing. And you know, I believe that nothing is more noble than the way the Los Angeles Police Department polices this city. And I think a lot of that, not all of it, of course, because it is just a TV show, but they set many standards by that we all ascribe to. You know, yes, they came from the culture of the Los Angeles Police Department, but they embodied, you know, the sharp uniform, professional attitude, you know, caring but effective cop. You know, which is what we all want to be. You know, that's our goal.
I thought it was interesting that we had that young officer who was just learning the job, and they had this guy who was seasoned. He was actually the guy that we learned actually how to do that professional role model that you're talking about.
Yeah, you saw so many times when Kent would stumble or Kent wouldn't be aware of what to do, and you know, Marty would step in, you know, the old wise training officer, and you know, all of us learn from that, you know, and I don't know anybody that watches that show that can't apply it to a situation that they've been in as a police officer. That's how real it was.
And we still have Kent McCord still comes to a lot of our functions.
You know, Kent's an amazing supporter of the Los Angeles Police Department. Incredible actor in his own right. You know, somebody that believes in this police department. When I was the captain of Central, I had a 1 Adam 12 program where we'd run the car once a month and let somebody work 1 Adam 12, just purely for the excitement of being able to say 1 Adam 12, 1 Adam 12. You know? And so I thought it was a great program, and Kent came out and helped kick it off. So he's a great supporter, great guy, and you know, I plan to have some ceremonies here at the police building to honor Adam 12 and honor Marty, and I hope that Kent can be there.
Great. Thanks, boss.
Thank you, Jack. I want all of you to take care of each other, to watch over each other, go out and be good cops. Take care.
This video is a tribute to our first training officer, Officer Martin Milner from the television show Adam 12, who recently passed away this September 2015.